always prayed that I would shine for God long before shine had even become the motto for Youth Week. I always wanted to be courageous and stand out for God, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I felt like I wasn't really standing out of the crowd for my Creator. I soon stumbled across the problem. I didn't know God as well as I thought I did. See, I always thought I knew God so well, or at least compared to other kids around my age. I did, more like tried, to do a devotional each night. But at least I was putting forth effort, therefore that had to count for something, right? My iPod was filled with Christian music that I loved to listen to, and I prayed on a regular basis. So why was I feeling like I didn't know God well enough? My questions were all answered when I picked up the book Crazy Love by Francis Chan. After reading the first paragraph of this book, I was hooked. I couldn't put it down. I just kept on turning the page. I wanted to be in a crazy love with my Creator. Soon after reading the book for only a little while, I realized what was wrong with my life. I was a lukewarm Christian. I didn't really know what a true Christian was. I wasn't giving God my whole self. I was half-heartedly loving Him. So many Christians, so many people in our community, so many students at the school I enter each day, and even so many people in this church claim to believe in God, but don't truly live by what a true Christian is. I surely am not pointing any fingers because I used to give God only a portion of myself, and part of the time I still do. But I am a different person now because I've realized what I have to do to truly, with everything I am, shine for my Creator. The first step to understanding this was realizing that God loved me more than I will ever understand. This truly blows my mind because the God who created laughter, the one who created every single grain of sand on every single beach, the one who created the millions of galaxies that we can't even see, yes, that God wants a relationship with me. He wants to know every single thing about me, and He loves me far more than anyone has and will ever love me. To really think that we live on this one little planet in one little galaxy is truly crazy. But then to realize that there are millions of galaxies out there that we don't even know about is even more insane. But the truly crazy thing about all of this is that the God who created all of that loves everything about me. He loves me when my hair is a mess and I look like I just rolled out of bed. He loves me through my stubbornness, my selfishness, my lack to put Him first, and all my imperfections. But this was just the first step of becoming a true Christian. The chapter that really made me evaluate my life was the chapter entitled The Profile of the Lukewarm. As I read through the countless characteristics that were given of a lukewarm Christian, I realized I fell into many of these categories. Like the one that said lukewarm people say they love Jesus, and He is indeed a part of their lives, but only a part. Or the description that says lukewarm people don't really want to be saved from their sin. They only want to be saved from the penalty of their sin. How many times did I quickly ask for forgiveness about being disrespectful to my parents, ultimately just because I was about to go on a long road trip, and honestly I didn't want to get into a crash and possibly lose my life on this road trip. These are only a few of the characteristics I found myself being a contender of. And the sad thing is, I'm not the only one. But then came the moment when I felt like my heart had stopped. It was when I read the line a little bit after all the descriptions had been listed. The line reads, "To put it plainly, churchgoers who are lukewarm are not Christians. We will not see them in heaven." To me, I've always wanted to go the extra mile. So when I see God's face at the end of my life, I want Him to be able to look at me and say, "Well done." I want Him to be able to say, "You used what I gave you to bring others to me." I want Him to be able to say, "You shine for me." After all, why wouldn't I want Him to say this to me? He is the one who literally gave everything for sinners like you and me, already knowing that we would stray away from Him and continuously pull away from Him. Then, while walking around school with that concept fresh on my mind, I realized how many people cussed, said hurtful things to others, and were just straight up mean. The sad thing was, many of these people called themselves Christians. I have never been one to use bad language simply because I always thought it just sounded mean and rude. But now I looked at bad language more than just sounding nasty or rude. I saw it as being disrespectful to my Creator. See, to talk, we have to breathe, and no one can take breathing for granted. So then it hit me. People could be using that breath that they use to say something mean or to use bad language as an opportunity to shine for God. After all, that's not asking much, considering God did give His one and only Son for us. I then related this concept back to my thoughts. Like when I'm driving and my mom is constantly nagging me about going over the line or being too close to one side of the road. This situation starts to stir up some really mean and harsh things in my mind. But then I did it again. I turned a perfectly good thought into something so mean, when I could have been thinking about how grateful I am to have a mom to nag me because so many kids don't have a mom there for them. I could start to tell Francis Chan's book was having a huge impact on my life. I then realized that if I wanted God to be able to say, "Well done" to me at the end of my life, I was going to have to learn not to be comfortable. As true Christians, we were called to share our light to others so that they will see our good deeds and honor our Father in heaven, just like what Matthew 5:16 calls us to do. To shine for God, I realize I'm going to have to go out of my comfort zone and truly let my light shine. Going outside of your comfort zone is very difficult, especially for a high schooler. It's so difficult because it means going against what is popular and it means not fitting in. And those two things are so hard for teenagers to do for some reason. I've always prayed for this in my life though. I've always prayed that God would lead me out of my comfort zone and that I would learn to be comfortable with not fitting in, because as a Christian, we are not supposed to fit in. We are supposed to shine. It's not always going to be easy to shine though. See, when life threw me the situation of losing my grandma and my grandpa in less than a year, I felt like there was nothing good that could possibly come out of that situation. I mean, those two people were part of my everyday life. They were more than just a grandmother and a grandfather. They were my role models. They were the people I could talk to about anything. They were two of my best friends. I still cry when I hear Michael Bublé on the radio because it reminds me of my mama. And I still cry when I hear John Denver's Take Me Home Country Road because it reminds me of my papa. But God put people in my life that shine for God unto me during not only that time of need, but also now as I deal with everyday life without them. I want to shine for God just like those people shine for Him to me. I want to be that light. I'm starting to realize I wasn't called to be just another student walking through the doors of Lee County High School. I was called to be a Christian. I was called to stand out, even if it meant going out of my comfort zone. I was called to share this crazy love I was learning about to so many others. I was called to shine. So slowly but surely, I am learning to be the light.